my son Nicholas sadly took his own life at the age of 27, some 12 years ago, following a period of addiction which began, I think many of your viewers will understand and be able to relate to this, began with cigarettes and cannabis and sort of so-called recreational drugs. And then one day, very sadly, Nicholas made the decision to smoke a heroin spliff, which was offered to him for free. And the rest is history, so to speak, because that led to him chasing the dragon and then eventually injecting. And the power of the addiction over him, and indeed his brother, meant that life became very, very difficult, and he couldn't find a way out. And for him, his way out was to take his own life.
Oh, that's really tragic, Elizabeth. But what had you noticed? Was he addicted for a while before you knew anything about it, or did he hide it well, or was it something that you noticed straight away?
Well, it's actually very interesting listening to Adam. The use of drugs in our family's lives was carefully hidden for quite some time, primarily because we as a family didn't even think that our children would be involved with drugs. So it was only really when we started to see degeneration in their appearance and something clearly was wrong and jobs were lost and that kind of thing. That
so it was both of them that were
yes.
addicted? Okay.
Both of them, yes.
Okay.
And when you see somebody change personality and physically change, then you begin to realise that you have a massive problem.
How did you first tackle it?
By doing what I think probably all mums want to do, which is to fix it. And fixing it is paying off the drug dealers and putting your family into rehab, doing everything you can to help, not understanding that the power of addiction isn't yours to own as a mum or as a family, but actually the addiction belongs to the addict, and it's down to them to recognise deep within themselves that they need to find the recovery. And then, of course, you can give them all the moral support that is necessary.
Okay. And when you were trying to help him in this way, what was the reaction like?
From Nicholas himself, desperate to do well, desperate to put his life right, and desperate to apologise for everything that he had done with his life. But the problem is that the addiction had gripped him by the throat and by the mind, and we didn't understand, and neither did he really, that he was into what I think the World Health Organization describes as a chronic relapsing brain disorder. And coping with that and trying to find your way through such a difficult mess is extremely hard.
I'll bring Audrey in again here. So from hearing this so far, what are your thoughts, Audrey?
The cycle of addiction, it does start with experimentation, it then goes on to misuse, then it goes on to actually using, dependency, and finally addiction. And the difficulty is some of those stages can go very, very quickly. If you haven't been aware of it, and there's no reason why you should, especially if you believe in why shouldn't you, that your family wouldn't be involved in it, you can pass through to the dependency stage very, very fast. There's a difference between a drug dependency and, drug abuse and drug dependency, and dependency is the addiction side of it. In the abuse side, yes, it's risky behaviours, yes, it may be building up a tolerance and so on, using when you realise that perhaps you shouldn't. But when it becomes dependency, that is exactly when the brain has taken over and something has changed, and now the addict is no longer in control of their behaviour. And exactly as you say, unless the addict is able to own the disorder, which becomes very difficult because of the physiological changes already there, there's nothing that even a trained counsellor can necessarily do.
That's so true.
And what I notice about both your experiences is actually the psychological side isn't touched there. You're right, you're paying off the debts, going to prison, whatever it is, but the actual cause, the root cause, is still unknown. And And the sad thing about addiction is when it can start with just experimentation. Just one day, I walked into a betting shop. One day, I tried a spliff that someone gave me for free. There's got to be something else to cause the need for that to happen again. It can't just be that alone, and suddenly, I'm addicted to it. It's very difficult. And until we address that side of things, and sadly there isn't always time nor the ability to do it if the addiction has gone that far.
Yes.
But it's about sometimes addressing the cause, and I don't think that's always possible.
And Elizabeth, how did you get through it as a family?
Well, at first, you know, when you hear that your twin son has taken his own life, that is a shocking thing to hear, and it drew myself and my family very close together, and particularly Nicholas's twin brother, who found his brother dead. So
he found him?
Yes, so that drew us together very closely, and it takes time to absorb that message of loss, and particularly suicide. It's very devastating. But I found myself with an impetus to almost exorcise this stench of heroin from our lives, and I found that through doing two things. Firstly, by waking up in the middle of the night and thinking, perhaps I need to write this all down in a book and get it out my system. And I did write it down.
Yeah.
And
what's the book called?
The book's called Mum, Can You Lend Me 20 Quid? What Drugs Did to My Family. Amazingly translated into several languages, and just unbelievable really how well it's done. But the other thing, and I think this really has been something to honour Nicholas's life, is to do something to support families. And that was the setting up of the charity. It's called the Nicholas Mills Foundation, but it trades as the non-profit charity Drug Fam. And what we've recognised from our own story is that there are so many families out there across all the different faiths and all the different social backgrounds who are struggling with addiction to drugs and alcohol, with a loved one in addiction to drugs and alcohol, that we could offer support to them. So that's what we do. We have 3 strategic aims: that we support families where there's active addiction, we support those who are bereaved by addiction, and we work in education using the story, which incidentally has become a play and travels in schools and prisons and so on, particularly in schools to
developments that should be
developments, to educate young people that, you know, that every action they take has a consequence, and, you know,
the prevention is
and deterrence really, and it's just been quite an incredible journey, one that I didn't expect to go on. And the charity is working incredibly hard nationally. We have a helpline which operates,
is on your screen right now, guys, by the way.
Operates 9 a.m. till 9 p.m. 7 days a week, and it just doesn't stop, you know. We have support groups right across the Thames Valley and beyond, and our work with those who are bereaved by addiction is developing all the time. We have a young persons project as well as for family members.
You've been really busy, haven't you?
Incredibly busy, yes, yes. The public speaking has taken me right around the UK and out to Italy and to France, to Cyprus and Morocco, even to the Anglican school in Jerusalem, where, you know, the schools right across the world have got problems.
That's amazing that you've been able to do that and actually get the message out there and help others.
Yes.
Liz, I just had a question as well about your son, your other son. Is it Simon?
Yes.
Simon. When he did find his brother, did that kind of shock him into doing something about his own addiction?
I think it would be fair to say on his behalf that his brother's death gave him life, and he said that he would honour his brother, and in his name he would turn his life around, and he has done that.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's lovely.
So he's very. I won't disclose too much,
No.
but I can say that he is completely drug-free and a very happily married man with
Oh,
children.
that's amazing. Wow. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show.